The cargo ship Liberty Dawn moved slowly through space. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair and looked at the stars. He was tired. This trip was supposed to be easy. They were taking supplies to a small colony far away. His crew of 12 people had done this trip many times before. Nothing ever happened. Kate Sullivan worked at the navigation station. She was looking at her screen when something strange appeared. Her face changed. She looked worried. "Captain, I am finding something weird on my scanner. It is a distress signal." "The signal is from humans." Jake sat up fast. "Humans here? But we are very far from any human colonies. There should not be any humans in this area." Kate looked at her screen again. "That is what makes it strange, sir. The signal is weak, but it is definitely using our Earth codes. And there is more. The message says children are in danger." Everyone on the bridge stopped working. Danny Torres was the chief engineer. He looked up from his station. His face was serious. Children? What would kids be doing out here in the middle of nowhere? Jake did not wait. He made his choice right away. "Kate, change our course. Go to that signal. Danny, get the engines ready for full speed. Lisa, prepare the medical room. We might need to help people." Lisa Chen was the ship doctor. She nodded and ran from the bridge. The Liberty Dawn turned and started moving faster toward the signal. The engines burned bright as the ship sped up. 2 hours passed. They found what they were looking for. It was a small station built on an asteroid. The station was hidden in a field of rocks. Nobody knew it was there. The signal was coming from inside the station. Ryan Beck was in charge of security. He looked at his sensors. "Captain, I am reading life signs. There are about 40 people inside. 20 of them are human children. Their ages are between 5 and 15 years old." Jake felt his heart beat faster. "What about the others?" Ryan checked his screen. "Different aliens. I see Kraltek, Viridian, and Zelthari. All of them are adults. Captain, those Zelthari are bad news. They run illegal operations. They do slavery and smuggling." Jake felt anger grow inside him. The Zelthari were a reptile-like alien race. Humans had met them 5 years ago. They only respected strength. They saw weak beings as things to own and sell. "Check for weapons on that station." Ryan worked on his controls. "They have many weapons, sir. Plasma cannons and missiles. They are ready to fight. They do not want visitors." Paula Martinez worked the communications. "Captain, I decoded part of the message. It is from a girl inside named Katie. She says the Zelthari took them from a colony ship 3 months ago. They have been holding the children and waiting for ransom money, but nobody paid." Jake stood up from his chair. "Open a secure channel to Earth Fleet Command. Make it Priority Alpha, and get our weapons ready. We are not leaving those kids in that place." Ryan looked worried. "Sir, we are just a cargo ship. We have some defensive weapons, but we are not built for fighting. That station could destroy us easily. Then we will buy time until help comes. Kate, keep us far enough away that their weapons cannot hit us. Paula, send the message to Fleet Command and to every human ship that can hear us. Tell them where we are and what is happening." Jake looked determined. "Those children have been waiting for 3 months. They have waited long enough." The Liberty Dawn stayed in position. The small crew worked hard to prepare their defenses. At the same time, they sent out their call for help. Inside the station, 20 human children waited in the dark. They did not know that someone had finally found them. Paula worked on opening a small communication channel. She was trying to reach someone inside the station. After 10 minutes, she succeeded. "Captain, I have contact." There is a girl responding. Her name is Katie Henderson. Jake moved closer to the communication station. "Katie, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the Liberty Dawn. We received your signal." "Can you hear me?" A young voice came through. The sound was quiet and scared but steady. "Yes, I can hear you." "Are you really here?" "Please say you are really here." "We are here, Katie. We are not leaving. Help is coming." "How many children are with you?" 20 of us. The youngest is 5 years old. The oldest is me. I am 16. The Zelthari have been keeping us locked up. They give us very little food. Some of the small kids are sick." Lisa Chen listened to the conversation. She spoke up. "Katie, this is Dr. Lisa Chen. Can you tell me what kind of sickness? Fevers, coughing. The air in here is bad. It is hard to breathe sometimes." Jake felt his anger getting stronger. "Katie, I need you to be brave for a little longer. Warships are coming. They will get you out. All of you. I promise." There was silence for a moment. Then Katie spoke again. My mom used to tell me stories. She said humans always come back for each other. I have been telling the little kids that someone would find us. I told them to keep hoping. Your mom was right, Katie, we found you. And we are bringing you home. Jake turned to his crew. Everyone looked angry. They were just a small cargo ship. They did not have big weapons or many people. But they had found these children. They had brought hope to kids who had been living in fear. Danny spoke from his station. Captain, message sent to Earth Command. They are responding. Admiral Grant himself is handling this. He says help is on the way. How long until they arrive? The closest warship is 4 hours away. More ships are coming behind it. Jake nodded. 4 hours. We can do 4 hours. He opened the channel to Katie again. Katie, warships will be here in 4 hours. Can you and the other children stay safe until then? We have waited 3 months. 4 more hours is nothing. Thank you for not forgetting about us. Katie, humans do not forget their children ever. The Liberty Dawn held its position in space. The crew watched and waited. Inside the station, the Zelthari did not know what was coming. They had made a terrible mistake. They had taken human children, and now, the full power of humanity was moving toward them. In space, there were many dangerous species. There were aliens with better technology. There were races with bigger weapons. But none of them had evolved on a death world like Earth. None of them had the same fierce need to protect their young. The Zelthari were about to learn an important lesson. When you touch human children, every human becomes your enemy. And humans do not stop. They do not quit. They come with everything they have. The clock was counting down. Soon the Deathworlders would arrive, and nothing would stop them from taking their children back. Admiral Peter Grant stood in the command center on Earth. He was looking at a big screen that showed space. The Liberty Dawn was a small blue dot on the screen. Around it were red dots that marked the hostile station. When did we get the distress call? Commander Helen Price checked her computer. 2 hours ago, sir. Captain Morrison is keeping his ship away from the station weapons. He sent us detailed information about the place and the children. Peter looked at the information. 20 human children held by Zelthari criminals for 3 months. His hands made fists. What ships do we have nearby? The destroyer Valiant is 4 hours away. The carrier Defiant with more ships is 8 hours away. We also have 3 marine assault ships coming. They will arrive in 12 hours. Peter shook his head. Not fast enough. Get me Captain Morrison on the screen. A few moments later, Jake Morrison appeared on the screen. He looked tired, but his eyes were strong. Admiral. Good to see you, sir, Captain Morrison. You did excellent work finding these children. Help is coming. But I need you to stay where you are and watch the station. Do not attack. That is an order. Jake waited a moment before answering. Yes, sir, I understand. But Admiral, these kids have been there for 3 months. Every hour matters, I know, Captain. But I will not risk losing more people by sending a cargo ship to fight a fortified station. The Valiant will be there in 4 hours. We will get those children out. I promise. When the call ended, Peter turned to Helen. Send orders to Captain Rodriguez on the Valiant. Tell them to go maximum speed. I do not care if they damage their engines. I want them there faster. Yes, sir. What about the diplomatic messages? Peter looked angry. Send a message to the Zelthari government. Tell them we found a criminal operation run by their people. The criminals are holding human children. The Zelthari have 6 hours to order the release of the children and surrender their people, or we will consider it an act of war. Helen looked surprised. Sir, that is very serious. It could cause big problems. They took our children, Commander. 20 kids stolen from their families and kept in cages like animals. The Zelthari need to understand something clearly. Humanity does not negotiate when it comes to our children. We do not make deals. We do not compromise. We bring overwhelming force and we bring our people home. Peter moved forward. Send the message. On the Liberty Dawn, Jake Morrison watched his screens as his crew worked without stopping. They had opened a secret communication line with someone inside the station. Her name was Katie Henderson. She was 16 years old and had found a way to use a communication terminal. Paula Martinez had the channel open. Katie, can you tell us about the guards inside? Katie spoke quietly. Her voice was scared but calm. There are 8 Zelthari guards. They keep us in a big cell in the lower part of the station. 2 guards are always watching us. They have plasma rifles. The other guards are usually in their rooms or the control room. Lisa Chen asked a question. Her medical training made her worry about their health. How are the other children doing? Katie's voice shook a little, scared, hungry. Some of the young ones are sick. They do not give us much food. The air is bad. But we are trying to be strong. My mom used to tell me stories about how humans always come back for each other. I've been telling the little ones that someone would find us. Jake felt emotion in his throat. Katie, listen to me. Your mom was right. We found you and we are not leaving. A warship is coming and we are going to get you out. All of you. How long do we have to wait? Less than 4 hours. Can you hold on that long? We held on for 3 months. 4 more hours is easy. Katie paused. Thank you for not giving up on us. Katie, humanity does not give up on its children, never. Now listen carefully. I need you to keep that communication device hidden. When our ships arrive, things will happen fast. There will be loud noises. You need to make sure all the kids stay in the center of the cell, away from the walls. Can you do that? Yes, sir. We will be ready. Jake looked at his crew. Every face showed the same determination. They were just a cargo ship. They had small weapons and few people. But they had found these children. They had given hope to kids who had been living in darkness. Around the galaxy, the news was spreading fast. Humans had found their children. Now the full military power of Earth was moving to that location. Other alien species watched with interest. Some thought humans were overreacting. Others understood that something important was happening. On the carrier Defiant, Captain Victor Hayes received his orders. His battle group included 5 destroyers, 3 cruisers, and 2 assault carriers full of Marines. It was enough firepower to level a small planet. All ships, this is Captain Hayes, we have new orders. Human children are being held hostage by Zelthari criminals. We are going to get them back. Maximum speed, all weapons ready. This is not a drill. Across the fleet, crews moved into action. Engineers pushed engines beyond safe limits. Weapons officers charged every system. Marines checked their gear and prepared for combat. Every person understood what this mission meant. On the station, the Zelthari leader Grask was getting worried. His sensors showed human ships approaching. He tried to send messages asking for help from other Zelthari vessels. But nobody answered. Even other criminals did not want to get involved. Grask had operated in this area for 10 years. He had captured and sold many beings. He had dealt with many species. But humans were different. They were not responding to his attempts at communication. They were not offering to negotiate. They were just coming. One of his guards came into the control room. Commander, the human warship is almost here. What are your orders? Grask thought hard. Try to contact them again. Tell them we will release 10 children if they let us leave safely. The guard tried multiple times. There was no response from the human ship. Commander, they are not answering. They are not even acknowledging our signals. Fear grew in Grask's chest. He had made a mistake. He had thought humans would be like other species. He thought they would negotiate to avoid losing lives. But these humans were not talking. They were not offering deals. They were coming with weapons ready. Get all weapons powered up. Target the human ship as soon as it is in range. And send more guards to the holding cell. If they try to board us, those children are our only protection. But Grask did not understand. He had taken human children, and now every human for light years around was coming for them. They were not coming to negotiate. They were not coming to make deals. They were coming to take their children back. And nothing was going to stop them. The countdown continued. 3 hours and 40 minutes until the Valiant arrived. On the Liberty Dawn, Jake Morrison watched the clock. On Earth, Admiral Grant coordinated ship movements. On the station, Katie Henderson gathered the younger children close and whispered to them that help was almost there. The storm was gathering. And soon it would break over that small station with the full fury of humanity defending its young. Captain Nicole Ramirez stood on the bridge of the destroyer Valiant. She was watching a countdown timer on her screen. 2 hours and 17 minutes until they reached the station. Her ship was running at maximum power. Every system was pushed beyond normal limits. Commander Kevin Wright spoke from his station. Engineering reports we will need a week of repairs after this run, Captain. Nicole answered simply. It is worth it. She had 2 children of her own back on Earth. The thought of them in a situation like this made her feel cold inside. The Zelthari government had answered Earth message with arrogance. They said they knew nothing about the operation. They suggested that humanity was overreacting. They refused to order the station to surrender. That refusal had decided everything. Admiral Grant had given clear orders. Rescue the children by any means necessary. The Zelthari on that station would face justice. Earth justice. Lieutenant Greg Lawson called out from the tactical station. Captain, we are receiving updated information from the Liberty Dawn. They have been watching the station communications. The Zelthari know we are coming. Nicole nodded. That was expected. What is their status? They are powering up all defensive systems. Plasma cannons are charging. They are also trying to contact other Zelthari ships in the area. They are calling for help. Is anyone responding to their calls? Greg checked his screen. No, Captain. It looks like even other Zelthari do not want to get involved. They know we are serious. Kevin moved closer to Nicole. He spoke quietly. Captain, if they are preparing for a fight, they might use the children to bargain. Or worse, Nicole looked grim. That is why we are not giving them time to think. The moment we are in range, we hit them hard and fast. I want those defenses destroyed in the first attack. She opened a channel to the Marine section of her ship. Major, this is the captain. Update on your team status. Major Chris Donnelly's face appeared on the screen. His face had scars from old battles. Marines are ready, Captain. We studied the station layout from the Liberty Dawn scans. We will enter through 3 points at the same time. Team Alpha goes for the holding cells. Teams Beta and Charlie secure the control room and barracks. Fast and clean, Nicole reminded him. Remember, Major, there are 20 children in there, ages 5 to 15. They are going to be very scared. Chris nodded. We have it handled, Captain. Corporal Amy Chen has kids of her own. She will lead the team that gets the children out. These kids are going home today. Back on the Liberty Dawn, Jake Morrison kept talking with Katie. How are things inside the station? Katie reported quietly. The guards are nervous. They are arguing with each other. Some want to run away. One of them said something about using us as shields. Jake felt fear run through him. Katie, I need you to listen very carefully. In less than 2 hours, a warship will arrive. When they do, things will get very loud. There will be explosions and gunfire. I need you to gather all the children into the center of your cell. Keep them away from the walls. Cover the little ones with your bodies. Do you understand? Yes, sir. What about the guards? Stay away from them. Our Marines are trained for hostage rescue. They will handle the guards. Your job is to keep the other kids calm and safe. Katie hesitated. There is something else. The Zelthari in charge has been talking about making an example. He says humans are weak. He says you will negotiate rather than risk us getting hurt. Jake smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Katie, that Zelthari is about to learn something important about humans. We do not negotiate for our children. We do not compromise. We bring overwhelming force and we take them back. Always. On the station, Grask paced in the control room. He was a veteran of many criminal operations. But this situation made him nervous. Humans were supposed to be cautious and diplomatic. They were supposed to talk first, negotiate, and offer deals. Instead, his sensors showed a human warship approaching at maximum speed. The ship was not sending any communication. There were no offers to talk. Just a simple message on repeat. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. Contact the human ship. Tell them we are willing to negotiate. We will release half the children in exchange for safe passage. His communications officer tried many times. No response, Commander. They are not even seeing our signals. Fear started growing inside Grask. He had underestimated these humans. He had thought they were like other species. He thought they would bargain to avoid casualties. But the humans were not slowing down. They were not talking. They were coming with weapons. Power up all weapons. Target the human ship the moment it enters range. And send more guards to the holding cell. If they board us, those children are our only leverage. In the Marine ready room on the Valiant, 50 Marines in full combat armor checked their weapons one last time. They had trained for hostage rescue missions many times, but this was different. These were children, human children who had been suffering for 3 months. Corporal Amy Chen stood with her team. She looked at each Marine. We have 20 scared kids in there. Some are as young as 5 years old. When we breach that cell, they are going to be terrified. I need you to be fast but gentle. We get them out and we get them safe. Nothing else matters. Her team nodded. Every Marine there understood. Some had children of their own. Others had younger siblings. They all knew what this mission meant. Major Donnelly walked through the ready room. His voice was loud and clear. Listen up, we are 2 hours from target. Check your gear. Check your weapons. Check your buddy. When we hit that station, I want it done in 10 minutes. Get in, get the kids, get out. Anyone who points a weapon at those children does not leave that station alive. Are we clear? The Marines answered as one. Clear, sir. On Earth, in command centers and military bases around the planet, people watched the mission unfold. The news had spread. 20 human children held hostage by alien criminals. A rescue operation in progress. Everyone waited to see what would happen. Admiral Grant stood in the main command center. He was watching multiple screens showing ship positions, station scans, and communication feeds. His staff worked quietly around him. Helen Price stood next to him. Admiral, all assets are in position. The Valiant will arrive in 90 minutes. The battle group is 6 hours behind them. Medical ships are standing by? Peter nodded slowly. Good. And the Zelthari government? Still refusing to cooperate. They claim the criminals are not their responsibility. Peter's voice was cold. Then they will learn that we hold them responsible anyway. After we get our children back, we will discuss consequences with the Zelthari leadership. They allowed this to happen on their watch. The clock kept counting down. On the Valiant, engines burned at maximum power. On the Liberty Dawn, a small crew watched and waited. On the station, children huddled together in the darkness. And throughout human space, millions waited to see if their military could bring the children home. The answer was coming soon. The Deathworlders were almost there. The Valiant came out of faster-than-light travel exactly 3,000 kilometers from the station. On the bridge, every station was busy as the crew executed their attack plan. Greg Lawson announced from his station. Target acquired. All weapons locked on target. Nicole Ramirez sat forward in her chair. The station is firing. Multiple plasma bolts incoming. Kevin Wright responded quickly. Point defense systems active. The Valiant defensive batteries opened fire. They created a wall of bullets that destroyed the Zelthari weapons before they could hit the ship. Nicole gave her orders calmly. Launch countermeasures and return fire. Surgical strikes. Take out their weapons but keep the structure whole. Those children are in there. The Valiant unleashed its weapons. Railgun rounds traveling at incredible speed struck each weapon on the station with perfect accuracy. Within 30 seconds, the station defensive abilities were destroyed. Only smoking holes remained where the weapons had been. Greg reported the results. Station is crippled. No major weapon systems remaining. Nicole spoke into her communication system. Major Donnelly, you are cleared for assault. In the Valiant launch bay, 3 assault shuttles came to life. 50 Marines in full combat armor secured their weapons and checked their equipment one final time. Major Chris Donnelly stood at the front of the lead shuttle. Listen up. We have 20 kids in there who have been waiting 3 months for us to show up. We are not going to disappoint them. Rules of engagement are simple. Anyone pointing a weapon at you or those children gets put down. Everyone else gets arrested. Move fast, move quiet, and remember what we are here for. The shuttles launched. They crossed the distance to the station in less than 2 minutes. They hit the hull at 3 different points. Breaching charges blew precise holes through the outer armor. Team Alpha, led by Corporal Amy Chen, went straight for the holding cells. They moved through the station corridors like water flowing downhill. Their weapons were raised and they scanned for threats. The first Zelthari guard they found was too slow to react. Amy's stun round dropped him before he could raise his plasma rifle. 1 down, moving to cell block. Amy reported over her radio. Teams Beta and Charlie found heavier resistance. Several Zelthari had blocked themselves in the control room. They were firing wildly down the corridors. The Marines advanced step by step. They used their shields and better tactics to push forward. Within minutes, the control room was secured. Amy and her team reached the holding cell. 2 Zelthari guards stood outside. Their weapons were pointed at the cell door in a desperate last stand. They opened fire the moment they saw the Marines. Amy threw herself to the side. Her return fire was precise and deadly. Both guards fell. She moved forward, scanning for more threats, then accessed the cell door controls. This is Corporal Amy Chen, United Earth Marines. We are here to take you home. She called out as the door opened. Inside the cell, 20 pairs of eyes stared at her. The children were huddled in the center of the room, just as Katie had positioned them. They looked thin, scared, and exhausted, but they were alive. A teenage girl stepped forward. Are you real? Please tell me you are real. Amy removed her helmet, showing her face. She was smiling big. We are real, Katie, and we are getting you out of here, all of you. The youngest children began to cry. Several of the older ones rushed forward. Amy found herself surrounded by kids who desperately needed to know they were safe. "It is okay. It is okay. You are safe now. Let us get you to the ship," Amy said gently. Her team moved quickly but carefully. They escorted the children through the station. Medical people were waiting at the breach points with emergency supplies. The youngest children were carried by Marines who handled them as gently as glass. One small boy, maybe 6 years old, wrapped his arms around a Marine neck and would not let go. The Marine, a big man named Sergeant Carl Hughes, carried him all the way to the shuttle. "He is okay, little man. I got you. Nobody's going to hurt you anymore." On the Liberty Dawn, Jake Morrison watched his screens as the rescue happened. He saw the shuttles leaving the station. He saw the life signs of all 20 children safe on the Valiant. Paula Martinez spoke quietly. "Captain, Katie is asking to speak with you." Jake opened the channel. Katie's face appeared on his screen. She was wrapped in a thermal blanket, but she was smiling through tears. "Thank you. You kept your promise," she said simply. Jake felt his own eyes burning with emotion. "That is what humans do, Katie. We keep our promises, especially when it comes to our kids." On the Valiant, Nicole Ramirez walked through the medical bay where the children were being treated. They were dehydrated and underweight. They had trauma, but they were alive and they were free. Lisa Chen had transported over from the Liberty Dawn. She was working with the Valiant medical team. She looked up as Nicole came near. "How are they, doctor?" "Physically, they will recover. We are giving them fluids and nutrients. Emotionally, it will take time. But they are strong kids. They survived 3 months in hell. They will survive this too." Nicole nodded. "What about the Zilthari?" 6 captured, 2 dead in the firefight. They are being held in our brig. Admiral Grant wants them brought back to Earth for trial." Nicole's voice was cold. "Good. They are going to face justice." Human justice. Major Donnelly walked into the medical bay. He looked at the children receiving care. His face was hard, but his eyes showed relief. "All teams accounted for, Captain. 0 casualties on our side. Station is secure. We found records of other operations. This was not their first time." Nicole looked at him. "How many other victims?" Chris handed her a datapad. "According to their files, they have been operating for 12 years. Hundreds of victims from dozens of species. But this was their first time taking human children and their last." Nicole said firmly, "Make copies of everything. Admiral Grant will want this evidence." Throughout the galaxy, word of the rescue spread quickly. The humans had responded to the imprisonment of their children with massive force. They had crossed huge distances. They had destroyed a fortified position. They had recovered every single child without losing a single Marine. Other species watched and took note. Some had underestimated humanity. They had thought humans were soft, diplomatic, willing to negotiate. But when human children were threatened, something changed. The entire species became focused on one goal: get the children back, at any cost. On the station, the remaining Zilthari sat in holding cells on the Valiant. Grask, their leader, stared at the wall. He had made the worst mistake of his life. He had thought humans were like other species. He had been wrong. The message was clear across the galaxy. Humanity protected its young with a fury that seemed to defy reason. Touch a human child and the entire species would come for you. With warships. With Marines. With everything they had. It did not matter how far they had to travel. It did not matter what it cost. They would come. And they would take their children back. The Deathworlders had answered the call. And they had shown the galaxy exactly what that meant. 3 weeks after the rescue, Admiral Peter Grant stood before the Galactic Council. The meeting was taking place on the neutral station called Nova Concordia. The chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of species. Everyone was watching as humanity made its case. The Zilthari ambassador was a tall reptilian named Sesek. He had been talking for an hour about human aggression and violations of sovereignty. Peter had waited patiently for his turn to speak. Now he stepped forward to the central speaking area. Members of the council. You have heard the Zilthari ambassador speak for a long time about human aggression. He says we overreacted. He suggests we should have negotiated. He wants you to believe that our response was too much. Peter activated a holographic display. Images appeared showing the 20 children as they were found. They looked thin, scared, and imprisoned in darkness. These are human children, ages 5 to 15. They were kidnapped from a colony transport. They were held for 3 months in conditions that violated every principle of sentient rights. They were starved, threatened, and used as potential bargaining tools by criminals operating under Zelthari protection. He let that information sink in before continuing. Let me be absolutely clear about something. This is not about politics. This is not about territory or trade. This is about the most basic principle that exists in human society. We protect our children always, without exception. Without hesitation, Cesic stood up to interrupt, but Peter's voice cut through the chamber. I am not finished, Ambassador. Sit down. The Zelthari hesitated. Then he returned to his seat. The entire council had gone silent. Humanity comes from a death world. Earth is a planet where everything evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most species in this room. We evolved as hunters who never gave up. We evolved as pack animals who protect our young at all costs. That instinct is not something we can negotiate away. It is fundamental to who and what we are. Peter changed the holographic display to show the Valiant approaching the station. When we learned that human children were being held, we did exactly what any species should do. We responded with overwhelming force. We crossed 2 sectors of space. We brought a warship. We entered a fortified position. And we brought every single child home safely. He paused. He made eye contact with various council members. Some of you may think our response was too much. You may believe we should have negotiated or compromised or shown restraint. But let me ask you this. If your children were taken, if your young were imprisoned and threatened, would you negotiate? Would you show restraint, or would you do whatever it took to bring them home? The chamber stayed silent. Peter could see various ambassadors moving uncomfortably in their seats. I thought so. Every species in this room has that same instinct. The difference is that humanity evolved in conditions that made us very, very good at acting on it. He turned to face Cesic directly. Ambassador Cesic, your government says these were rogue criminals operating without approval. Fine. Then help us find them all. Help us shut down every operation that targets human children. Because if you do not, we will. And we will not ask permission first. The Zelthari ambassador stood. Are you threatening the Zelthari collective? No, Ambassador. I am making you a promise. Touch a human child and humanity will respond with every resource at our disposal. We will destroy entire criminal networks. We will cross any border. We will fight any battle. That is not aggression. That is protecting our young, and we will never apologize for it. Peter turned back to the full council. Humanity seeks peace with all species. We value cooperation, trade, and mutual understanding, but there are lines that cannot be crossed. Our children represent that line. Cross it, and you will discover exactly what a Deathworld species is capable of when protecting its young. He let the hologram fade. The 6 Zelthari criminals have been tried and convicted under Earth law. They will spend the rest of their lives in human prisons. The station has been destroyed, and every child has been returned to their families. That is the end of this matter as far as humanity is concerned, but let it serve as a lesson to anyone who might consider similar actions in the future. We do not negotiate for our children. We do not show restraint when they are threatened. We bring overwhelming force and we bring them home. Always. Peter returned to the human delegation section and sat down. The chamber erupted in conversation. Various species were debating and discussing what they had heard. Commander Helen Price leaned over to him. That was quite a speech, Admiral. Peter shook his head. It was not a speech, Helen. It was a warning. One that I hope the galaxy takes seriously. Back on Earth, in a hospital in New York, Katie Henderson sat with her mother, Julie. They were watching a news broadcast about the council meeting. Katie was still thin and still recovering. But she was home. They came for us. Just like you always said they would. Katie said quietly. Julie hugged her daughter close. Of course they did. That is what humans do. We protect our own. Around the world in 19 other homes, similar scenes were happening. Parents reunited with children they thought they might never see again. Families made whole by the determination of a species that refused to abandon its young. On the Liberty Dawn, now back on its regular cargo route, Jake Morrison sat in his command chair. His crew had been recommended for awards for their role in the rescue, but that was not why they had done it. Kate Sullivan looked back from her navigation station. Captain, we are receiving a transmission. It is from Katie Henderson, Jake smiled. Put it through. Katie's face appeared on the screen. She looked healthier now, though the shadows had not entirely left her eyes. Captain Morrison, I just wanted to say thank you again. To all of you. You saved us. Jake shook his head. Katie, we just found you. It was the Valiant and those Marines who did the real work. No, sir. You found us when no one else was looking. You stayed with us when you could have left. You promised you would get us home, and you kept that promise. That means everything. Jake felt emotion in his throat. Katie, what are you going to do now? She smiled. For the first time, it reached her eyes. I am going to join the Earth Defense Force when I am old enough. Someone has to make sure no other kids go through what we did, and someone has to teach the galaxy that humans do not abandon their own. You will make an excellent officer. The galaxy will not know what hit it, Jake said. After the transmission ended, Jake looked around his bridge. His crew, just cargo haulers, had helped start a rescue operation that had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Because that was what humans did. When their children called for help, they answered. With everything they had. Without hesitation. Without compromise, they were Deathworlders, and the galaxy was finally beginning to understand what that truly meant. 6 months passed since the rescue. The 20 children were home and slowly healing. The galaxy had changed. Every species now understood something new about humanity. They were not just another spacefaring race. They were Deathworlders, and they protected their young with a ferocity that defied normal understanding. On Earth, in a military academy in Colorado, Katie Henderson stood in a classroom full of other cadets. She had turned 17 2 weeks ago. She had applied for early admission to the officer training program. They had accepted her immediately. The instructor, Colonel Brandon Foster, looked at the class. Today we are discussing hostage rescue operations, specifically the rescue that took place 6 months ago, Operation Swift Return. Some of you may know that we have someone special with us. Cadet Henderson was one of the rescued children. All eyes turned to Katie. She sat up straighter but said nothing. Cadet Henderson, would you share your perspective on what happened? Katie stood. She took a breath. We were in that cell for 3 months. Every day we wondered if anyone was looking for us. The Zelthari told us that nobody cared. They said humans would not risk a war over a few children. They were wrong. She paused, gathering her thoughts. When Captain Morrison found us, everything changed. He did not negotiate. He did not try to make a deal. He just called for help and stayed with us until that help arrived. Then the Valiant came. I remember hearing the explosions. I remember being terrified, but I also remember Corporal Chen coming through that door and telling us we were going home. What did you learn from that experience, Cadet? Katie looked at the Colonel directly. I learned that humanity means what it says. When we say we protect our own, we mean it, not just with words but with actions. The entire military moved for 20 kids. That is who we are. She sat down. The other cadets were silent. Colonel Foster nodded with approval. That is correct, Cadet. And it is a lesson the galaxy learned too. In orbit around Earth, Admiral Peter Grant stood on the bridge of the new flagship, the UES Defender. It was the largest warship humanity had ever built. Its construction had been accelerated after the incident. The Council had questioned the need for such a vessel. Peter had told them it was necessary. Helen Price stood beside him. Admiral, we are receiving reports from all sectors. Trafficking operations involving human targets have dropped by 80%. Most criminal organizations have put out orders to avoid human victims entirely. Peter nodded slowly. Fear is a powerful teacher. They learned that taking our children brings consequences they cannot handle. Helen looked at the datapad in her hand. There is something else, sir. We are receiving requests from other species. They want humanity to help train their rescue forces. They want to learn our methods. Peter raised an eyebrow. That is interesting. Which species? The Viridians, the Kratek, even some of the smaller human colonies want formal training programs. They see how we responded and they want to be able to do the same for their people. Peter considered this. Approve the requests. Send training teams. If we can teach other species to protect their young with the same determination, the galaxy becomes a safer place for everyone. On the Liberty Dawn, Captain Jake Morrison was finishing another supply run. His crew had become minor celebrities after the rescue, but they tried to keep doing their regular jobs. Kate Sullivan was at her station when something appeared on her scanner. Captain, I am picking up a distress signal. It is faint. Looks like a damaged ship. Jake immediately moved to her station. Human, no sir. Viridian signature. Looks like a family transport. They are asking for help with engine repairs. Jake did not hesitate. Change course. Let them know help is coming. Danny, get engineering ready. We are going to need to do repairs. Danny looked up from his station. On it, Captain. Ryan Beck smiled from security. You know, Captain, 6 months ago you changed course for a human distress signal. Now you are doing it for aliens. Jake shrugged. Someone needs help. We can provide it. That is what we do. 2 hours later, they reached the damaged Viridian ship. It was a small family transport carrying 6 Viridians, including 2 children. The Liberty Dawn crew worked for 3 hours making repairs. The Viridian captain, a female named Shari, was extremely grateful. Thank you, Captain Morrison. We heard stories about your ship and crew, about how you found the human children. Your reputation has spread far. Jake felt a little embarrassed. We just did what anyone should do. Shari shook her head. That is where you are wrong. Not everyone would have done what you did. But humans do. That is why many species now feel safer knowing humans are in the galaxy. You have shown that protecting the innocent is not just words. It is action. After the Viridian ship departed, Jake sat in his command chair. Paula Martinez looked back at him from communications. Captain, I think we just made humanity look good out there. Jake smiled. Maybe. Or maybe we just reminded everyone what being part of a galactic community should mean. We help each other. We protect the vulnerable. We do not turn away when someone needs us. On the Valiant, Captain Nicole Ramirez received new orders. Her ship was being sent to patrol areas known for trafficking activity. Other warships were joining her. The mission was clear. Find operations targeting children of any species. Shut them down. Kevin Wright read the orders. Looks like we are becoming the Galactic Police, Captain. Nicole looked at him. No, Kevin. We are being what we should always be, protectors, not just of humans but of anyone who cannot protect themselves. The rescue showed the galaxy what we are capable of. Now we follow through. In the Marine quarters, Corporal Amy Chen was training new recruits in hostage rescue techniques. She used the mission from 6 months ago as a teaching example. Remember, your primary objective is always the hostages. Everything else is secondary. Speed, precision, and care. Those children were terrified. We had to be their heroes, not just their rescuers. A young recruit raised his hand. Corporal, do you still think about that mission? Amy nodded. Every day. It reminds me why we do this job. Why we train so hard. Because somewhere someone might need us. And when that call comes, we have to be ready. Back on Earth, in a small apartment in New York, Julie Henderson watched her daughter sleep. Katie had come home for the weekend from the academy. She looked stronger now, more confident. But Julie could still see the shadows of what she had experienced. Julie knew her daughter would carry those scars forever. But she also knew that Katie had learned something valuable. She had learned that humanity keeps its promises, that humans do not abandon their own. And now Katie was training to be part of that promise, to be one of the people who would answer when the call came. Throughout the galaxy, the story of the rescue had become legend. Different species told it in different ways, but the core message was always the same. Humanity was a species that protected its young with absolute determination. They were Deathworlders in the truest sense. Not because they were violent or aggressive, but because they never quit. They never compromised when it came to their children. And they never failed to answer the call. The 20 children who had been rescued were growing up now. Some, like Katie, had chosen military service. Others had chosen different paths. But all of them carried the knowledge that they had been worth saving. That humanity had moved mountains to bring them home. And in the darkness of space, on stations and ships and colonies throughout human territory, parents told their children stories. Stories about how humans always come back for each other. Stories about how no human is ever truly alone. Stories about the Liberty Dawn and the Valiant and 20 children who waited in darkness until the Deathworlders came to take them home. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and humanity had proven what it meant to be a Deathworld species, not through conquest or domination, but through an unbreakable bond between members of their species. A bond that said simply and clearly, we protect our own always without exception, without compromise. This is who we are.